This is Visitor's Book, and I'm Maija, your host. In this program, we're going to be meeting with diplomats and foreigners who are here in Pakistan, and we're going to find out what they really think about the country. So let's go. So today we're here at Domenico, and we're here to meet with Valerie Khan, the chairperson of the Acid Survivors Foundation. So let's go find her. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Nice to see you here.
Same here.
Such a wonderful day today.
Yeah, very pleasant, indeed. Yes.
The weather is not so hot anymore.
No. It's a nice break from the summer season.
Exactly. So you've been in Pakistan since 1996 already, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's over 20 years.
More than, 23 years, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your background. Like, you moved here because of your husband, but where are you from? What's the story, basically?
Okay, so I'm French.
Yeah.
I was born in Paris, and I grew up mostly in Paris.
Okay.
So I'm a French Parisian. Yeah.
Wow.
But like many Parisian, it's a bit like Islamabad. You know, people usually have a foot, at least in the countryside around Paris.
Okay.
So on my father's side, we are from Champagne, and on my mother's side, there is a generation of Parisian, and otherwise they are from West Brittany.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
And was there something really adventurous about you when you were growing up?
Well, I think no, I was definitely not an adventurous lady. I was a child who has been lucky in the sense that I had parents who believed that learning languages and being open to various civilizations, history and geography, and different cultures was something which was enriching. So they really ingrained that in us. I have the privilege of traveling a lot. And I grew up between France and England since the age of 10. I used to go to England regularly. That's why I speak English a bit better.
Okay.
So I think people were not, surprised to see me going abroad, because they knew I was interested into very different places. But I'm not sure they had imagined it would have been Pakistan, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you study?
Well, I started studying, at the A levels level, I basically studied foreign languages, philosophy and literature.
Yeah.
And then I studied, it's called Foreign Languages Applied to Economics, and then Modern Literature and Capacity Building Engineering.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what were you doing? I mean, you started working and then you met your husband, is that right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I was a student actually when I met him. So I was studying law in university, just for a few months, and then I thought I cannot become a lawyer. There are things, I was very much interested in law, but the lawyer part of it at that time, it was too much confronting my, idealism or whatever. So I turned to Foreign Languages Applied to Economics, and that's when I actually met my husband.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Should we take a little walk around here?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. And so what was your husband doing in France? He was just working there, or he also grew up in
Well, he left Pakistan at the time of the ul Haq, basically. And he's still a political activist, a Democrat, and you can say a leftist.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And did you have any kind of a sense of Pakistan as a country when you first met him?
Not at all. Actually, as a French, at that time, we're talking about 1993 when I actually met my husband in France. When we were talking about Asia, we were really thinking of China, Japan.
Yeah.
And also, because I studied literature, I had this vision of Central Asia actually, and Joseph Cassel, and also Afghanistan a little bit. But Pakistan as such, no. So when I actually met my husband, that's how, for me, it was also a civilizational discovery in the sense that I discovered Pakistan, basically. And at that time, Benazir Bhutto, a woman politician, the leftist struggle back there as well. So it was a real eye-opening about, there is another country back there and things are happening also.
That must have been so fascinating. And so then you got married in France, is that right?
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
And then we came to Pakistan a few months afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we sit down here for a second?
Why not?
But yeah, so not only were you moving to Pakistan, but you were moving to Swabi, this small village in KP. So what was that like? What was the village like? What was your first impression?
It was wonderful. I know that whenever you tell, even Pakistanis actually, not foreigners only, I came from Paris to Swabi and a small village in Swabi, Chota Lahore. But actually I found only love, hospitality, support, empathy. It was marvelous. I was extremely lucky, and I have wonderful in-laws, really, who welcomed me, guided me, accepted me as their own without any question. Wow. I didn't have to become someone else. I was Valerie Babi, and that was. Again, it's it's an interesting lesson about how to welcome others through love or whatever. And I guess it happens because they didn't feel threatened. They were self-secure. Yeah. I think it's easier to actually match and interact with others when you're yourself very, strong about your roots and who you are. You are not frightened by what's different. So it was, I was very lucky. Abitak, honestly, until now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. But still, it's a completely different kind of a culture, at least for most Western people. Like Pashtuns usually are a little bit more conservative than, like, let's say Punjabis or people in the cities, at least in Pakistan. So was there anything that you found particularly challenging or anything?
Well, it's not like as if my life would be, because they have definitely different anthropological practices. I'm not sure about Pashtun or Punjabis being more or less conservative. I think it's more about the socio-economic environment, I guess. Yeah. But it's true that in Chota Lahore there is a certain anthropological framework, which is definitely not the one in Swabi, in Islamabad, for that matter, or the ones in Paris, definitely. But I think, Lévi-Strauss says initially you see what is very different. So we had the parda system, for example, the clothes, wearing this big saddle, this chel, which, I was never forced to do it, but, you look at your communicative environment and you want to adjust, so it facilitates that exchange and communication. So this was something very new, not necessarily comfortable, frankly speaking. I find it utterly uncomfortable, unpractical, but that is needed so that you can connect with people. And I've been, because I'm a linguist, because I'm an educationist, I've been taught to do that without even questioning that principle.
Exactly.
And I think it facilitates that relationship. And otherwise the environment was different, but again, I think you can adjust to many things.
Exactly.
If people are loving and sweet, and that's who they were. Yeah. So it was different. It was not painful.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was interesting. Wow. And they were also interested in learning from me, from my country, from where I came. So, for example, I made crepes. They wanted to share my cuisine. So it was very... and we stayed there for a few months before we could... settled down in Islamabad, and I'm actually glad, because I think it really gave me that rooting, that integration phase. I think I was actually very blessed to have that phase. And then we shifted to Islamabad, which is a more international city. It's very different, but I think I became really part of the tribe, and in terms of difficult moments, it's very important to have family support.
Absolutely. Wow. Now I have this amazing idea in my head of this French woman making crepes in Swabi. That sounds
Yes.
fantastic. Wow. It must be the only one.
You never
Could
know.
be.
You never know.
Okay, so then you moved to Islamabad. What did you start doing here, actually?
I started teaching languages. That's what I was trying to do for a few months in a small languages institute. And then I became a French teacher in the French embassy school, actually.
All right.
So, and I taught there for 12 years,
Wow.
which, fell into the educationist that I was trained for. And then starting from there in 2005, I actually shifted for a year in Lahore, which was a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
Came back to Islamabad, which still is going to be my favorite city in this country. And then in 2006 and 2007 we started creating an organization, a non-profit.
Okay, but before we get to the fascinating work you started doing here, from mid-2000, the situation was getting more and more difficult here. You've seen like the worst times in Pakistan as well. What was that like? Like, did you ever consider leaving during those days, or?
I never felt threatened enough to live, frankly speaking. I also have 4 children who are very much Pakistanis. I mean, they're French and Pakistanis, but they're extremely attached to this country and they do not want to live it. I honestly never felt threatened enough to say, oh my God, I want to leave. And I don't think it's in my personality to think about that. I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
So it's more about, it doesn't mean you are irresponsible, but I think the fact of not, when you have adverse moment, it's important to address those moments, and fleeing and escaping is really the last resort, and we have never reached that level at all.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And you said Islamabad still continues to be your favorite city. What is the reason for that?
Well, it's very green.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me a little bit of the mindset of a Parisian, in the sense that they are liberal, but they are also independent.
Okay.
So you socialize, but you socialize as much as you want. You have that freedom and autonomy to say, oh no, I'm tired and I don't want to see anybody right now. You have that kind of, which is not necessarily the case in a family or tribal environment. So you have that kind of very well balanced. I think it's an ideal balance between the West and the East, actually.
Okay.
And I find it very soothing.
Yeah.
And we have a very comfortable life standard, frankly.
Yeah, that's very true.
To be grateful for that.
And do you still go to Swabi every now and then?
Yeah, we do. Not as much as we like, because we are very busy.
Yeah.
But I do, especially when I need to recharge my batteries. To reconnect with my soul, I need to go back there.
What is it like? Like, I've actually never been to Swabi. What does it look like there?
So it's a mixture of, it's very fertile lands, and it's next to the Indus River.
Wow.
You have flat and mountainous areas as well. And it's basically the land of sugarcane and tobacco. And it's also the land of hospitality. Really, I would say strong people, women and men, and whatever gender you want to talk about, and very loving people.
Great. So I must visit one day, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope you do. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. But yeah, I keep hearing this flute in the background. Should we go find where it's coming from?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. Time to take a short break. See you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here with Valerie Khan, and let's go listen to some music.
Yeah.
Wow, monkey.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Well done. Shukriya.
Shukriya.
It was nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so you started telling me that it was around 2006-07 that you got this idea for starting the foundation, right?
Yes, Acid Survivors Foundation. Yes.
How did you first come across this acid violence in Pakistan?
Well, actually, while we spent a year in Lahore, I went to a beauty parlor who was working with some acid and burn survivors. Mm-hmm. And initially, and my son was with me actually.
Yeah.
And initially, they had those what do you call that? The kind of expanders that allow skin graft, which is part of the treatment for burn survivors very often.
Yeah.
And my little boy, who was 7 at that time, asked me, "Mama, what's happening to them?" And I didn't have any answer, and I thought they were cancer patients.
All right.
So lesson learned: never give answers when you're not sure.
Yeah.
Check before. So whatever. So I told him that, and then I thought, maybe I'm not right. So I did research, and I realized that those were actually victims of acid and burn violence. I explained my little boy what it was, but it kind of stuck with me. And then at some point I was called by that organization to work with them, which I did for 3 months. And then I was not happy with that organization and I quit. But the donors who had met me at that time actually looked for us, but that time we had come back to Islamabad and said, listen, we have the funds, we want to work with you, set up a board of directors, of honest directors, and we're with you. So it took us a year to find Pakistanis and friends who would actually were willing to come on board to make a difference, and that's how we created the Acid Survivors Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just a volunteer now for them, the chairperson, and they've done tremendous good work with state agencies and the government, and acid violence has now reduced by 50% in Pakistan.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a
That's
world
incredible.
record. Yeah, so we're really proud of it. But otherwise, in 2010, I actually stopped teaching and I joined this organization, which is now Group Development Pakistan. And we focus on child rights and more specifically child rights to protection, child justice and child participation, and that's what has been doing so far.
Okay, that's wonderful. And so can you just explain a little bit about what exactly the foundation does in terms of acid violence?
Well, they do a lot of advocacy and lobbying for policy and legal reform, which is how we work with the parliamentarians in 2011 and got the law enacted. And that's one of the most enforced laws actually that really contributed to making a difference. They also do a lot of awareness against gender-based violence and violence against women and girls in particular. They provide holistic services, so medical care, legal aid, rehabilitation services, reintegration services. It's really about reaching out to people who have been attacked and helping them rebuild their life, basically.
Exactly.
That's what it really aims for. And then sharing the lessons learned and the models, saying, gender-based violence is not a fatality. If we've managed to decrease it by 50% in the case of acid violence, we can certainly work at replicating this for all the type of gender-based violence and make another Pakistani success story. That's what we want to do.
That's incredible. Do you remember any particularly inspiring case that you worked with.
Yes, there is this, actually this is the famous case that led to the legal reform which was taken to the Supreme Court, and it was the Naila Farad's case. This young girl had been attacked by her teacher and an accomplice when she was 14 years of age. And she fought and fought, and eventually she agreed, with the help of a younger woman lawyer at that time that we had, to reach out to the Supreme Court through the Human Rights Cell. And she was the first one who actually said, you know, I'm not going to drop this. I want justice, and I believe in my country judicial institution to grant me that. Yeah. And she actually obtained it.
Wow.
So she won her appeal in the Supreme Court. The culprit did her full punishment, but she started leading the campaign, you know, to say we need a law, we need to reform it, and then we need to enforce it.
Yeah.
To me, Naila, he's a heroine, and she's she's probably a model for so many women, girls and men here who sometimes think that they face the worst, and that they will never come out of it. I think she's the living example of the fact that no, there is always a light somewhere. You know, there is a way out. It's not necessarily an easy journey, but it's one that you may conduct, you may experience, and at the end of the day, I guess humanism and love always wins if you allow them to.
That's amazing. And you mentioned that a lot of these people, they often, like, when it happens, they obviously think that that's it, their life is over, they're never going to get remarried and so on. So that's really inspiring. I mean, because it is, so much of it is also about the appearance, right?
Very much.
And that you can somehow help them. So that's really incredible, right?
I think they're immensely brave.
Yeah.
You know, they're really inspiring people, and they're very aware of what it means, you know, what it entails. And what is also very encouraging is that once they experience and go through that journey, they share their experience with others to motivate other victims. So there is this transmission, this generosity, which contributes to saving other life. And I think it's really a model to follow and share with other countries, because you know, acid violence is a global phenomenon.
Exactly. It's not just limited to Pakistan, obviously.
Exactly. And I think Pakistan has a lot to share to guide other countries on how to counter and actually address the issue.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And so your foundation was also part of this very famous documentary Saving Face by Sharmeen Obaid, right? What kind of a role did you play in that?
Oh, well, basically Sharmeen documented what we were doing. Yeah. And so I guess we were an example of how Pakistan, I think it's enabled to present how Pakistan was not the bad person always, but rather the trend setter. And how, you know, we wanted also to break the narrative of there are only problems in Pakistan.
Exactly.
We were the living example of Pakistan proposing and achieving solutions. Yeah. You know, and that was very important. I believe in that. I think we provide a very unfair picture of Pakistan in that sense. I'm not denying the challenges.
Yes, of course.
But we also have a lot of example of good practices and solutions.
Yes.
And we really need to focus on projecting those.
So, how much difference do you think this documentary made in a sense of, like, the struggle there still remains for these issues in these countries? Do you think it managed to, like, make people more aware of the issues? What do you think was the contribution?
Well, as far as the legal reform was concerned, the documentary came after the legal reform took place. So it was already done. Yeah. But once a law is enacted, it's important to raise awareness so that the law gets enforced.
Exactly.
So in that sense, I assume that this documentary was not the only element, but contributed to raising awareness on the issue, which probably helped with enforcing that law.
What do you think the film's impact was? Like, did it manage to create more awareness about the topic?
Well, I think it certainly did. It was not the only element that created awareness.
Yeah.
We also worked a lot with other forms of campaigning, such as distributing pamphlets with all the police stations at community level, training lawyers, parliamentarians. But it certainly was one of the elements that contributed to that increased awareness, and increased awareness contributes to increased enforcement of the law.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting model. And I think also it pictured a Pakistani woman winning an Oscar. So it's a good message for women's empowerment.
Yeah, and do you think a lot of people watched it here as well? Because of course it was like mostly talked about in the West and in the English language media here. Do you think it also like got some publicity where it's most needed?
Well, no, because the several survivors did not agree with the full content of the documentary.
I see.
But that's okay. I mean, we as far as we are concerned, we do not do anything without the survivors' consent.
Yes.
So it was a matter of ethical standing. But I guess even talking about it was good enough, to make stakeholders realize that they need to do something about it, and not only enact the law but enforce it.
Yes.
Which happened.
That's amazing. What do you think is the most important achievement of the foundation, aside from the law?
Well, this foundation has enabled more than 300 survivors to come back to life in an empowered manner. That's the most important thing, but I think reducing acid violence by 50%, which is again a world record as far as violence against women and girls is concerned, is just a historical success.
Absolutely.
Which is a Pakistani success.
Yeah. And what remains to be done still? What are the main challenges?
Well, first of all, reduction by 50% means that you still have some cases, and we're aiming at eradication.
Yeah,
we think it's possible. There are other type of communal burns that are present that we need to address. And also, you see, acid and burn violence is I would say, the exponential manifestation of a pre-existing cycle of gender-based violence, especially violence against women and girls or transgender people. So we need more research to address that, and we also need to have a law which makes sure that rehabilitation, and especially for Punjab, because this is where most of the victims come from, but that rehabilitation and access to free medical care is guaranteed on a long term, not on an immediate term, but on a long-term basis. So that's a policy or legal matter. The government has started doing that with a Niya Zindagi program. But that needs to be institutionalized, and therefore, in our view, it needs to be put in a legal framework. And then we need to basically work on stopping gender inequality, gender discrimination, and gender-based violence. So I know that the country is working on it. We need to do much more for that.
Yeah. What do you think keeps you inspired and motivated?
The success stories of the survivors themselves, their feedback, their encouragement, the fact that they're saying, we're with you, and we want to do this, and help us do that and achieve that. I think it's them. Yeah.
Great. So aside from the foundation, you also do some other work here. You are the president of Alliance Française, right?
Yes.
So what does the Alliance do here in Pakistan, actually?
Well, the Alliance Française role is to promote the French language and the French culture in Pakistan, and it's very close to my heart because I consider myself a Franco-Pakistani. I have a Franco-Pakistani family, and I think there are a lot of, as I said, I quoted Lévi-Strauss earlier. We certainly have a lot of differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. And humanism, some political changes or whatever. A lot of politicians here know about Jean-Jacques Rousseau and the social contract, and our, philosophers or our writers even. So I think there is a tremendous potential to actually, learn from each other. And I think exposing Pakistani to what is France language and culture about is a very nice way to promote peace and humanism.
That's excellent. And do you also provide like French language courses here?
They do. So they provide French language courses, they provide French translation services, and they also organize a lot of cultural events where there is also an exchange, between Pakistani musicians and French musicians. It's a nice way to show that we can share what we have and not be frightened of what is different.
Great. But yeah, so should we go eat something soon? It's getting late.
Why not?
Yeah, great.
All right, let's go then.
Time to take a short break. See you. Welcome back. I'm here at Kitab Cafe with Valerie Khan, and we're just about to decide which one of these delicious Pakistani dishes to try. Yeah? Do you have any favorites?
I love the handy.
Yeah?
It's very nice, yeah.
Great. We should probably go with that then. Are you a fan of biryani?
I like it. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe we should keep it simple and go with that. Hello. Good, thank you. So can we have biryani?
Yeah.
I think the matka biryani, and we will also have the chicken shahi handi. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. But yeah, so after all these years you've now spent here in Pakistan, do you ever think like, okay, now I'm done, I want to go back to Europe?
No, I may think, oh, I need to go for a week to France, you know, and then I can do it. I mean, it's not a big issue. It's usually about workload rather than, okay, can I take a week off or not?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not. I have the chance to be able to come back whenever I want. So then, and when I go, then I have actually a lot of local food, chocolate and cheese and bread, mostly. So that's nice.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that you consider yourself like half Pakistani, half French now. Are there any characteristics, like Pakistani characteristics that you've picked up over the years that you've noticed you started doing or you've started acting in a different way maybe?
I think my rapport to time has changed.
Yeah.
It's still not, I still have some work to do on that, but I guess I've learned to be more patient.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah.
So yes, I think the rapport to time, also valuing more the what is more essential, such as family life.
Yeah.
I learned to enjoy the rain in Pakistan,
Really?
for example. Yes, this is something I used to hate when I was in France, especially as I told you when, growing up between UK and France and in West Brittany, it does rain a lot. So, and I suddenly realized that it could be experienced in a totally different manner. And that's again because of the climate, how romantic it is seen, how poetic it still exists in the Western culture. So I guess, yes, those things are there.
That's very interesting because I think that's one of the things many Westerners notice when they come here. It's like we consider rain bad weather, And here people are like, what are you talking about? It's amazing.
It's
like
great.
I love it.
And people celebrate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like in films and stuff like that, there's always some kind of a scene with the monsoon weather and stuff like that. Yeah. It's so funny. It's so different. And this is also something you must have experienced while raising your children here, like the sense of community that there exists here. How is that? I mean, were your children actually born here, all of them? Yeah.
All of them were born here and grew up here, and are still living here, even for their higher studies. But I think that's also something that they somehow miss when they go back to France. Actually, they enjoy going back to France because they see their family, because they enjoy the food, because they go to the theater, to the opera, visit very lovely historical places. Oh yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
But then after 3 weeks, this is actually something they miss. This kind of ongoing telephone ringing and the friends just saying, oh, you need to come for dinner, or them bringing their friends over. I mean, in Pakistan, you need to be able to feed anyone at any time.
Yeah.
And then again, as I said, Islamabad is nice in the sense that you can balance it out. You can have your me time and your social time as well.
Exactly.
So, no, I think it's something really precious. And any human society needs that.
Absolutely. What about your children? Like, do they want to continue to live in Pakistan, or they are considering going abroad for studying or something like that?
Well, I can only vouch for the two eldest. I think the others may be still thinking about it. I have 4 children between 22 to 13 years old. Positive things?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you just do not forget who you are, where you come from, and then it's all right. You know, travel and sail and learn and share the knowledge. It's fine.
Great. And they are bilingual or trilingual?
Quadrilingual.
Oh, wow. So they speak French, Urdu, Pashto,
and English.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a lot. How was that? Teaching them all these 4 different languages and managing it in the family.
You know, speaking several languages is very common in Pakistan, actually.
It is. It is, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, in school, you are, and especially in the private teaching system, you're basically between Urdu and English.
Yeah.
So they have those 2 languages. Now, you're talking about similarities between France and Pakistan, and between some provinces in Pakistan. As a Pashtun, my husband is profoundly attached to his language, and as a French, I'm profoundly attached to my language. So I would not speak any other language to my children, so I spoke French with them only.
Yeah.
And my in-laws spoke only Pashto to them. And I think it's the way to go. They ended up between, you know, strong Pakistani citizens of the world, strong French citizens of the world, and that's what we hope we can convey them, you know, and being good human beings.
Yeah. And you yourself, you've learned Urdu and Pashto.
Yes.
How fluent are you in both of them? How would you say?
Well, I can communicate very well, but I make grammatical mistakes, and that's
Great. How was it learning the languages? Was it difficult for you?
Not really. I'm a linguist, and I'm an educationist, so I actually practiced on myself the methodologies that I was, taught to convey and to transfer. And I learned what you call in immersion. And I would say necessity makes it worthwhile.
Yes.
You know, when the ladies, the eldest ladies in our village do not speak other language than Pashto.
Then you have to, yeah.
So you have to. And it's good actually that they didn't. It really did not give me any other option. Yeah. And I'm glad.
Yeah. And I'm sure it helped also watching your children growing up and learning the languages. That must have also helped you learn more.
Yes. They also are my teachers for sure.
Yeah.
Until now.
Great. And what kind of food do you eat at home in such a multicultural environment?
Well, in terms of food, we're still very French and Pakistani Pashtun, I would say. So we don't eat a lot of chilies. We're not very fond of it. I eat more chilies than my husband, actually.
Okay.
But we like roasted meat, barbecues, and salads a lot. We like soups and fruits. We have a very balanced. We eat well, healthy, and balanced. In that sense, it's very French also.
Okay. Yeah.
And yes, our favorite dish is, a big steak with green salad and French fries and apple pie as a dessert, that kind of thing. But one of my daughters is very Pakistani in her food states, actually.
Great. Are there any Swabi specialties that you like?
Well, they have lovely kebab. Thank you. Lovely kebabs and a lovely fish that is coming from the Indus that you grilled, on the barbecue. So yes, these are our treats when we go to the village in the weekend.
Amazing. And have you learned how to cook any of these dishes?
Shamefully, no. I don't have much time to cook, so actually. I do cook in the weekend when I have time. And usually we try to make it a family activity because it doesn't happen much, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a relaxing exercise, you know, it's also a sharing exercise. But I'm working so much, honestly, I don't have it. So when we do it, it's like a festive family activity, and then we set up a very nice table and we enjoy it. So it's something we actually cherish when we do it. Yeah, and I definitely do that for Christmas or the New Year. Then, this is a very important moment for us. Yeah.
Great. So shall we dig in?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, the pots are really nice also.
They're really cute. Yeah, I love them. This looks delicious, actually. I can't wait to try it. Yummy. Wow. Do you like to go out to eat to restaurants a lot?
I like to go on a family basis to the restaurant. It's nice. It's a nice break, actually.
Yeah.
But as I told you, we also like to cook, and you know, there is nothing like a nice family dinner at home.
Yeah.
Or a nice family lunch.
Yeah, that's great. And what do you think about like the restaurant scene in Islamabad? I mean, that must have changed quite a bit over the years you've lived here.
A lot, indeed. Yes, I think it's evolving. It's interesting because I think it's also very creative. You know, people are trying to express their creativity through the setup. For example, this Kitab Cafe. I really love the concept, you know, of mixing the food and the books. This is something I can also relate to.
Yeah, this is great.
So I think it's an area for new businesses as well.
Yeah, and there's like literally every week there's some new restaurant opening up here.
Yeah. So and that's, I guess it's an area for youth employment, and hopefully for gender equality as well. Thank you.
All right, let's dig in.
Let's start.
Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, so you're obviously very busy with your work, but when you do get some free time, what do you like to do here in Islamabad? Where do you like to go to relax?
I like to read.
Yeah.
And I like to spend time, if it's not on my sofa, reading with a nice cup of tea on my roof. Otherwise, I like to go and have a nice coffee and a little muffin or something like that in different restaurants in the city.
Yeah.
I like also to go and roam around art galleries. We really like to attend concerts or theatre plays.
Great.
And then we like to trek in the Margala Hills also. You know, that's a nice, it's also very relaxing.
Great. Yeah. And how much have you gotten to travel in the country?
Well, I've been traveling in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. I've been visiting, Quetta, Karachi, Lahore and Multan with all the Sufi saints. But you know, Pakistan is a big country. I still have many places to visit.
Yeah. Is there one place in particular that you're still like really hoping that you get to see?
I would like to go to the northern areas. Every time we've been planning to go, when I was involved in the plan, somehow something happened and we had to cancel it or go back. So hopefully after that time I'll manage that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's hope so. Is there somewhere that you've been that you always try to take your friends or your family to, that you really wish more foreigners
Well, I think Swat is one of those areas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really pretty. It's very green. I'm People are really nice.
Yeah, and now especially the security situation has gotten so much better.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's easier to go
so
there.
with the motorway being nearly ready, I think the access is going to be also much shorter.
Yeah.
And that's good news.
How far away is it from here?
Well, it takes something like 5 to 6 hours right now, and I think it's going to be reduced once the motorway is finished to 3 hours maybe. So that's very good.
Great. So it's time for our rapid fire round.
Oh.
Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
All right. Shalwar kameez or Western clothes?
Western clothes.
Okay. Lahore or Karachi?
Lahore.
Atan or Bhangra?
Atan.
That was an easy one and obvious. One word to describe Islamabad.
Lovely.
Great. Suji ka halwa or crème brûlée?
Crème brûlée.
Okay. Gachar ka halwa or chocolate soufflé?
Oh, chocolate soufflé for sure.
So you're not a fan of the Pakistani desserts?
I love Pakistani food. I have some difficulties with the dessert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mont Blanc or K2?
K2.
Wow. Baguettes or naan?
Baguette.
Fair enough. Croissants or halwa puri?
Croissant for sure.
Paneer or brie?
Brie.
Yeah, they're very different. The best thing about Pakistan?
Love and hospitality.
Great. Okay. So then it's time for you to sign our visitors.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So your name and your comments.
All right. We'll just it. There we go.
Okay. So let's see what you wrote. A lovely and friendly program, very much needed to present another perspective about Pakistan. Keep it up. Thank you so much. That was so friendly, and I really enjoyed my time with you, and I hope you continue to have an amazing time in Pakistan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
That's it for today. Don't forget to follow us on social media at indus.news. See you next week. Goodbye.